Hello and welcome back to the Kessel Rundown. I'm Hunter, and as always, I am joined by Ethan to discuss the Mandalorian Season 3 premiere, Chapter 17, The Apostate. How you doing, Ethan?
What's up, Hunter? I'm really excited to jump back in and talk about this awesome series that we both love. That's honestly kind of rebirthed my Star Wars passion when it came out. I wasn't, I was watching movies every once in a while, but the sequels were so bad that I kind of checked out. And I was really, really pumped about the series, and it still just picks me up every time I see it. So let's talk.
I agree. I'm in the same boat as you. But yeah, let's talk about it. So, just off the bat, overall feelings of the premiere. How do you feel about it?
Wonder, intrigue, joy. More specific thoughts. I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was a little too short for me overall, but it was a great intro, to kind of dipping our toe back into the world, or multiple worlds, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm excited to keep going on this journey. I feel like we're going to get a lot more stamps on our passports as Star Wars viewers. Like, we're going to go to 10 different worlds every episode, it feels like. So that was fun. It's always fun to see new places.
Looking like it. Yeah, I agree. It made me feel wonder and joy for the first time in a long time. But but other than that, I think it was a good recap for people that didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, especially the first few episodes. But for me, other than the fact that this was the return of one of my favorite TV shows, I was kind of underwhelmed. The episode length didn't really help, but also it just didn't feel like a great premiere to me. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it didn't really leave you with anything crazy. At the end, think about the end of chapter 1 of the series.
Mm-hmm.
We see Baby Yoda, right? We see where everyone's like, what? Like, this Disney somehow kept this under wraps for so long, and that was the big kind of like nail in the coffin. Like, okay, Disney Plus is going to work, and everyone is going to watch this show. That didn't really happen in this. Maybe they're so confident that people are going to keep watching that they didn't do anything like that. But there was nothing crazy in this episode.
Yeah, and season 2 had Cobb Vanth, and also Boba Fett returned at the very end of the season.
Yeah, you
premiere.
saw the boots. Yeah, that was. I forgot that was chapter 9. That huge reveal.
And so I was waiting for it. I was waiting for maybe like a Sabine cameo or maybe something to happen, but nothing happened. I was on the edge of my seat whenever we arrived at Bo-Katan's castle at the very end of the episode, but we'll get to that later. I have some possible theories about Cobb Vanth that we can get into once we get to that point in the episode. But for right now, let's just start talking about the episode from where it picks up. So we start on an unknown planet with the Mandalorian clan that used to be Din's Mandalorian clan. It looks like they kind of gathered up a little bit more than the last time we saw them in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you want to talk about filmmaking in general in this episode, but I mean, intentional misdirect, it felt like. I thought this was a flashback to Din getting his helmet as a kid. That's what it felt like.
Oh, definitely.
Because there was like 20 Mandalorians, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a flashback. Oh, I guess Paz Vizsla is older, and he looks about the same. But we're going to see, young Din get his helmet. He even looked like what I would imagine Pedro Pascal looked like as a 10-year-old, right? You can keep telling your story, I guess, but telling the narrative here. I didn't want to jump in, but yeah, Din flies in. You're like, oh wait, this is not a flashback. How do they have 20 more people? So that was kind of confusing, but a good use of misdirection to open it up.
Yeah, I agree. It's always a little confusing, and I always appreciate your input, Ethan. Never silence yourself like that. It's always appreciated. But not getting too far into it, right before the episode premiered, I remember I sent this text to you in a panic, how they just dropped that it was 2 years that Grogu stayed with Luke. And then it kind of got backtracked on, like, no, it's still in 9 ABY. Because there were talks of the Mandalorian Season 1 taking place in 9 ABY, and then Season 3 taking place in 11 ABY. Ever since the episode premiered, it looks like Jon Favreau's backtracking on that. They may have just been talking about the 2 years that take place in between Mandalorian Season 2 and Season 3. But if we're thinking about the time that the clan, the Mandalorian clan, took the time to get more people in, I mean, that makes sense. They had 2 years to recruit new Mandalorians and find old Mandalorians. But if not, I'm not too sure how they found so many so fast.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
yeah,
how
I
long?
don't know.
How long? So in Book of Boba Fett, which I regrettably rewatched in anticipation of this season.
Oh God.
So me and my wife were in Hawaii on vacation, and so the long flights both ways. So I just downloaded and watched the last 3 episodes of Boba Fett
Mm-hmm.
and some Mandalorian. I rewatched the entire series of Mandalorian as well. But anyways, in I think it was episode 5 when the Mandalorian returns. He goes to Glavis Ring World, I think that's what it's called, which sounds like a stomach disease. Yeah. But that's where Paz Vizsla and the Armorer are staying, right? In that awesome space port place. It's only them two, and Paz is very emotional and he doesn't seem like a great friend to introduce more people into the clan, but I guess that's how the clan is. That's just the workplace culture there. But so they somehow went from that, which probably wasn't 2 years. It was probably a year or so, right? Mando's been wandering around while Yoda's in training, doing his normal bounty hunter stuff, and before he realizes what he needs to do to be purified. So conceivably, it's like a few months or a year that they have to accumulate all these people. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. We'll roll with it because their helmets looked awesome and the planet looked awesome, and I love a good space alligator.
Mm-hmm. Actually, in the descriptive audio, the alligator is described as a dinosaur turtle.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
But to stop talking about the Mandalorian timeline, I'm just going to leave it at this. I saw a post this morning before I went to work about Jon Favreau saying there were people saying, they were questioning the 2-year time jump or whatever. And he replied with, I don't think we're quite to 10 ABY yet. So I don't know what the timeline is. He's saying that this is all taking place in 9 ABY. So my headcanon right now is that in my headcanon, Mandalorian season 1, episode 1, January 1st, ABY. And then the Mandalorian season 3, chapter 17, December 15th, ABY. That's where I'm thinking.
9 ABY, right? And 11. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, 9/11. Yeah, and then Book of Boba Fett takes place somewhere in like August. Just putting that into a yearly calendar.
What a heck of a year! He's writing his New Year's resolutions, and he's like, "Man, don't destroy any Imperial remnants this year. Be peaceful." I don't know.
That's why Boba got rid of his white undergarments, because you can't wear white after Labor Day. That was a good one. That just came to me.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. So after Din and Grogu come in and blast away the space dinosaur turtle, whatever you called it, he goes into the armorer's shop, which she looks like she has the same exact setup on this world as she did in Glavis and in Navarro. So she's got the feng shui going, I guess. He gives her this shard of glass or like sand that's been turned into glass with an inscription on it. We don't know what the inscription says because we don't speak Mandalorian. He's like, hey, this is proof that there's still life there, or there can be life there. I'm gonna go, right? So did you want to expand on that moment? Were there any crazy things you heard or found out about
not
Sindari,
necessarily,
I guess?
Well, yeah, not necessarily. Just the city of Sindari. We later learned that the Mines of Mandalore, the entrance is under the Civic Center in the city of Sundari, which we saw actually get blown up in a Book of Boba Fett flashback. You probably remember it. It's the Night of 1,000 Years flashback. Yeah. That dome city that gets blown up is Sundari, if I remember correctly. So we do see it get blown up. Same city where Ahsoka fought Maul. Same city where Death Watch and Maul kind of took over. So it's pretty cemented in Star Wars lore. I think it's also the same city in Star Wars Rebels. Gar Saxon had his Star Destroyer over. That's where they fight and kind of all come together under Bo-Katan's Darksaber, which kind of falls apart after that. But yeah, it's under the city of Sindari. And yeah, Mandalorian architecture is pretty cool in my opinion.
Well, it was.
It was. But also, I don't understand how a glass shard indicates that there might be life on the planet.
Well, I
Because
think he had said that there was some explorer had gone there and come back with the shard, so it proves that he, the
he
explorer,
could
could get
survive.
in and out without dying. And so,
Okay.
as you know, the same would go for Din, that he could do
Yeah,
that as well.
that makes sense.
He decides on the back of this to go. We learn he's going to Navarro, but he just flies away and he's like, I got to go,
Hmm.
prepare for my mission to Mandalore. We learn that he just kind of bouncing around a little bit. He's going to Navarro to find IG-11, the droid. He
Hmm.
apparently needs a droid he can trust to help him go on the planet. Is he going to send him out? I don't know what his plan is. That's why, before we get to Navarro, that's why he's going there, right? So
Yeah.
on his way to Navarro, before he gets there, there's this awesome shot that's straight from the
Hmm.
trailer of them staring at the hyperspace lane, which would give me a seizure after like 2 days straight of
Oh
that.
yeah,
Would be
definitely,
awful. He doesn't even have like a
definitely.
sunshade or anything. Um,
Mm-mm.
but Grogu's staring at the walls of the hyperspace unit, and behold, we see Prince of Egypt style. We see whales swimming, swimming
Space
on the
whales.
waves, kind of thing. Yeah, they're. So, do you want to go into Purgle? I know you're a bigger Rebels fan than
Oh,
I am. So,
I would love to talk about the Purgle. I honestly think that seeing the Purgle in episode 1 of this season is a pretty big indication of what we're going to get into with Ahsoka, and probably also the end of the season. Half expecting Ezra to be on the back of that Purgle and riding it like a space cowboy. But I think that was just like a showing of what's to come with the Ahsoka series, and with the end of the season, I do fully expect, in a Marvel Studios type way, to get a tease of Grand Admiral Thrawn at the very end of this season,
yeah,
because I honestly I think that Thrawn is going to be the big bad that the Mandalorian show, the Ahsoka show, Skeleton Crew, all of that just kind of leads up to all of them kind of trying to take down Thrawn.
like a crossover event, Arrowverse style.
Yes, Crisis on Infinite Earths type style.
Oh my gosh, Crisis on Earth 9. You remember that with the wedding? Oh, what a fever dream.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Oh, the CW.
yeah. Um, Yeah, so the Purgle are I've only seen now I know about the end of Rebels. I've read about it. Um, I'm still in season 3, slowly making my way through. But the Purgle are really important to that story, to Ezra, to Ahsoka, to Thrawn.
Hmm.
We see their introduction in I think season 2 of Rebels. They're just really mysterious
Yes.
creatures that kind of like how humans learned to fly from birds. The ancients in Star Wars learned how to make hyperdrive capable ships or hyperspace travel capable ships from Purgle
Hmm.
because they could swim or fly or whatever the term would be long distances like through
Yeah.
the stars.
Like Pearl can
So
bend space and time to get to one place to another, and they just
yeah.
harnessed their ability to do that.
So I didn't even think about it as a clue because I'm not smart apparently. I thought about it as like Filoni throwing a bone to the people who have
It
watched
could be.
Rebels. But I think you're probably right in saying that that's probably a clue towards, we're going to see Ahsoka at some point. We have
Hmm.
to in the season. Or we're going
Oh,
to get some
she's
sort of
been in everything. She
tease,
was in Book of Boba Fett. She was in Mando. She has to be in
right?
this season.
Right. I think
Yeah.
they're looking towards a sort of Marvel-esque crossover, not just a
Hmm.
crossover event, but kind of like melding all these shows together, which is hard to do
Definitely.
well. And you even saw Marvel, with all of its existing fan base, lose a lot of fans when they tried to do that because
Hmm.
people just got tired of it. So I'm interested to see how Filoni and
Yep.
Favreau do that.
I agree. Before we land on Navarro, I kind of wanted to go back to that kind of Mandalorian baptism real quick. That kid and Paz Vizsla seemed to have a little connection. The way he saved him, and the way the camera kept on panning back to Paz when the kid was reciting the Mandalorian Creed. I don't know. I think there might be a little connection there. I think that might be Paz's son, or maybe a foundling that Paz found. Maybe all these Mandalorians were found in the past like 3 months or so, and they have all these foundlings that they have to indoctrinate just real quick. But it looked like to me that they might be related in some way, kind of like a Mando, Grogu, Paz in this foundling type way
Yeah,
there.
no, it definitely could. I mean, the Outer Rim is like a hub of
Hmm.
crisis. I'm sure they
Oh
could have
yeah,
flown to any of those worlds and found refugees to take in somewhere. So,
definitely.
um,
Definitely. And then just one more thing about that. I think it was interesting that before the kid could complete the creed, I think he gets interrupted at the line where he's like, I shall never remove my helmet. Right before he
mhm,
can say that, the dinosaur turtle attacks. And I think it's just a sign of things to come, how um, this little offshoot of Death Watch may, I don't know, they may open
crumble.
their eyes. The armor will not.
Yeah,
I know that for a fact because it's the armorer. But who knows? Who knows? It may be
yeah.
a
I
sign of
think
things to come. But let's get back to Navarro.
yeah. So, speaking of people opening their eyes, remember in season 1 and chapter 8, we saw Mando finally make a real connection with a droid
Yep.
for the first time in his life, and that droid
Yep.
was IG-11. So he gets to Navarro and he's walking through this beautiful, uh, I don't know, prosperous, I guess, for lack of a better
Mm-hmm.
term. That's how I describe it. Prosperous land that Grief Karga has shepherded, and
Yep.
since Moff Gideon left. So he's walking through Grogu and he sees the statue of IG-11, which I thought was neat, and they could have stopped there, Oh, cool, a
Yeah.
statue. Remember season 1, and then moved on and never mentioned IG-11 again. But
Yep.
they did not, and now apparently they're making a giant storyline out of restoring IG-11, which cheapens season 1 for me quite a bit.
Yeah.
What your thoughts on that? On Din's whole idea of putting it back together?
Well, before we started talking, I really didn't think much about it. I was like, oh, it's just a fetch quest. Like before we go to Mandalore, we have to go to a random planet, just like the Frog Lady
That's
episode. I
fair.
like the
Yeah.
episode, but I was like, okay, we're gonna go to a random planet. We're gonna get a chip part for IG-11. We're gonna go back to the Anzellans, and IG-11 will be repaired. I didn't really see it as a cheapening of season 1, but now that you say it, I do. That's all I can think about right now. So I don't think they didn't handle it correctly, in my opinion. I don't know how they could have handled it. Maybe just not introduce that storyline anywhere, because I think IG-11 served as a way of Din allowing to trust droids again, and then him not trusting droids and going back to one droid that he trusts and not all these other droids
Right.
that are available in
Right.
the galaxy. It kind of it does a little backpedal on his character, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I couldn't help but think of Rise of Skywalker, when we
Mm.
thought Chewbacca died, and
Oh
we looked
yeah.
at each other in the theater and we were like, they're going for it. Like, that's a big deal. And then 5 minutes later, Chewbacca shows up and they're like, oh, it was the other ship. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
So it's like they kill off IG-11 in this incredibly emotional moment at the end of season 1, which, like you said, helps
Mhm.
develop Din into a more trusting person, into an actual human, not just a killing machine.
Mhm.
And he takes off his helmet for the first time with IG, and there's this big bonding moment. I mean, as much as you can have with a droid, but it was really cool, and it served a great purpose, and it can be done with. Like, you can just leave it there. And so then reintroducing IG and be like, we're bringing him back to life, was kind of
Mhm.
disappointing to me. One of the first times I've
Yeah.
been disappointed with the writers, other than the Frog Lady episode.
Yeah. Well, speaking more about the writers, I am over the moon that the writers are huge fans of the Star Wars extended universe and everything Star Wars. But I really do think there should be people in the room. Maybe there are, but maybe they're not speaking up enough. There should be people in the room saying like, that doesn't make sense story wise. They should they should be the ones like, hey, that's kind of fan servicey. We shouldn't do that. Maybe go this route instead. Or you see how he developed his character this way. Let's not introduce IG-11 again. Let's kind of do something else. I
Well,
love Favreau and Filoni, but it's getting kind of weird.
yeah. So after Boba Fett, we reserve the right to criticize the writers. Fair?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and we also reserve the right to backtrack and say, we love you guys, we never doubted you for a second. And when inevitably in 3 episodes we're blown away. So
Yeah.
one thing I did like that the writers did was, did you see how swiftly they wrote Gina Carano out of this series?
Oh, what a
What a
oh, that was
what a
great.
flex. It was one line. It was like, what about Cara Dune? Oh, she's off doing missions with the New Republic. Oh, okay. End of story.
Yeah, so she I wrote it down somewhere. She's Cara Dune was recruited by New Republic Special Forces to attend Moff Gideon's war tribunal. That seems pretty good. Like that's enough. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That may mean we never will see Moff Gideon again, but who knows?
I think we're
unless he
gonna see
escapes.
Yes,
he might escape
style.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look out for the Lego set. But Giancarlo Esposito has hinted a few times that he's going to be, you'll see a lot more of me going forward. So I assume he'll be back. It was a terrible idea to send him to a war tribunal instead of killing him, because as Paz Vizsla said, one of the few things I will ever say, hey, I agree with a member of the Vizsla clan on that. He was like, death would have been justice. That's what he said in Boba Fett. So, and I agree. But
I agree as well.
We'll
just
see.
A quick side note. Maybe you know the question to this. I'm not too sure. But around this time, I'm assuming this is 9 ABY. Do you know where the capital is for the New Republic? Is it Chandrilla or is it Coruscant?
It's Coruscant. It should be.
Should be? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I know it's either of those two. If it's Coruscant, then yeah. I'm excited to see Coruscant later in the series. It looks like we're going to.
Oh, we're definitely going to see it. And see it during the New Republic, which will be interesting.
Oh yeah, baby! I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm excited to see if they do it. I want to see the Jedi Temple. I don't want to see a Jedi. I just want to see the Jedi Temple after Palpatine made it his vacation home. I would love to see it. I would love to see what he did to it.
Yeah, a real fixer-upper style episode.
Yeah, he flipped it for cash.
Yeah, the Property Bros Coruscant edition. So on Navarro, now that he's here trying to reclaim IG-11, I guess we can talk about the Anzellans in a minute, but we do get this, kind of interchanges between Greef and Mando about, oh, you can buy land here, you can be rich and comfortable, which is all that Greef wants for himself, and I guess he thinks everyone else wants that. But Mando, he's a soldier. And he needs to be on a mission. So he's like, no, I'm good. I need to go cleanse myself. And Grief's like, okay, that's kind of weird, but whatever. I love that line where he's like,
we got baths here,
didn't
man.
realize. Yeah. I love that line where he's like, I didn't realize you were here on business, but okay. Anyway, they run into these pirates who look very much like pirates from like the Johnny Depp movies, like Pirates of the Caribbean. They look straight out of that film series. The head guy, and I don't know if you know this, I found this out on the internet and then I went and read the Wikipedia page. Charles Vane was the name of the lead guy, who looked kind of like Bootstrap Bill. He is named after a real pirate, Charles Vane. Englishman who I think he was in the Bahamas or something like that.
That's cool. Yeah, I wrote down his name. Charles Nicto Vane is his name in the show.
Yeah, real guy.
So that's really cool.
Died in Jamaica in 1721.
Yeah, I'm on. Sorry. It just came out.
He was known for his cruelty, often beating, torturing, and killing sailors from ships that he captured.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good guy.
He was caught in a storm and marooned on an uncharted island. Upon being discovered by a passing British ship, he was arrested and brought to Port Royal, Jamaica, where he was tried and hanged in March 1721. So, real life Jack Sparrow.
Nice.
Yeah, but I just thought it was funny. I guess Filoni or Favreau is really into pirates. I don't know. So that was neat. But so they have this fight, and Mando guns down a bunch of guys in the street, and then all the kids in the school are like traumatized for the rest of their life because they just saw 4 guys get murdered. And but everyone just goes about their business, and Grief's like, sweep this up. But on their way off the planet of Navarro, they have this big gunfight, Attack of the Clones style, in the asteroid field. What did you think of that?
Oh, I think that was awesome. You caught me mid-yawn. I'm so sorry about that. But I think it was pretty cool. I like how he was chasing behind asteroids and killing the dudes behind the asteroids. It was just like, whoa, like, I don't know where this dude is. I don't know where this dude's going. But I like how I guess Charles Vane led him toward Gorian Shard, his boss's ship. He's smart. He's not just a nameless, dude that's gonna die because of the Mandalorian. Yeah, he chased him all the way out there. But I want to say before the pirates came up on him, he was teaching Grogu all about the ship's cockpit and everything. I thought that was
sweet.
Pretty cute.
Yeah,
it is
the cuteness factor.
And then, oh yeah,
the cuteness factor in this episode was off the charts. That they did a lot. Yeah, Grogu hugging the Anzellans and picking them up.
Bad baby.
Yeah, bad baby. Bad baby.
That's funny. Also, before Din hit the NOS on his N1 Starfighter, I like how Grogu got into his ammo belt or whatever that's called, and kind of strapped himself in, knowing that we're about to go fast, and they did go fast.
But you remember at the end of Boba Fett, I'm sorry to delay this conversation about the asteroid fight, but at the end of Boba Fett, when I think it's after credits or something like that, Mando and Grogu are cruising along, and he's like tapping on the glass, and Mando's like, no, not again, no, and he just keeps tapping, and he's like, fine, and he hits the button, and they're like, wee, and like
they
take
go
off,
fast.
So we saw that play out.
That's good. It's good. Do you want to talk about Gorian Shard's design real quick?
Well, yeah. Last thing on the asteroid chase. I don't know about you. I'm definitely going to be listening to that score when it comes out. That like the drops, the dun, like every time he came up from behind an asteroid, that was incredible. But yeah, we talked about Gorian Shard before the episode. And you were freaking out about the design. Do you want to elaborate on that, on how awesome it was?
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, it was awesome. I think that it was a perfect amount of original trilogy. Kind of, it looked like the way Gorian Shard was moving. It looked like the way George Lucas did his like special releases of the original trilogy. It looked so in universe to me, but he fit. Like I can see that dude as a space pirate. Like he could be a Davy Jones of the stars. He looked like he fit there, and his ship was Davy so Jones. Cool. Yeah, his ship looked like a smaller version of the Eclipse, which was a Imperial dreadnought, which is in Star Wars Legends. It was used around like the Battle of Endor or so. So it's around the same time. The ship has like this type of fang that curves in the front and points down. So whenever it was funny, whenever Din went around the asteroid and you saw the front hull of that ship, I did not know what was happening. I thought we were about to see the Eclipse, and the Eclipse was Palpatine's personal Star Destroyer, I think. Don't quote me on that. So my mind was buzzing until we saw Davy Jones in the cockpit.
Yeah. I didn't know that about the Eclipse. I'll have to look up a picture, but it did remind me when they just first panned into the room. I think it was just the shot of it reminded me a lot of when Anakin in Clone Wars, I think it was season 7, shows up and he kills Admiral Trench.
Mm-hmm.
And the room setup, the room setup was
Yeah.
exactly the same to me. And just the way he was sitting in his chair with his cane,
Mm-hmm.
I just was instantly reminded of that. And I just love that moment from Anakin. It's one of my all-time favorite Anakin
I do
moments.
too. And he just kills him in cold blood, which is
Yeah.
so Anakin. But it also reminded me a lot of The Last Jedi. The beginning of The Last Jedi when Poe goes on his suicide run against the Imperial fleet.
Against the
way they
Dreadnought,
use the pans, the way they use the pans and the swoop ins and the kind of the zoom in on I almost say Grand Admiral Shard, but Gorian Shard. It just looked like if you can put that in The Last Jedi, I bet no one would could tell a difference. Like, oh, that's Mandalorian episode. It looked the cinematography looked exactly the same in my opinion.
Yeah, that I think I told you about this, but I recently rewatched probably the first 40 minutes of Last Jedi. It was on like cable, and I watched that whole scene with Poe, and what an incredible man! Our hopes were so
drift.
high, yeah. But it went downhill after that. So after we see Gorian Shard, and there's just it just kind of was like a Disney. I loved it, but it was very like, oh, here's this random thing that will never matter again in the series. Like we're probably never going to see Gorian Shard again, but we're probably never going to see Vane again. But it was a really cool moment.
Yeah,
kind of like the brothers in or the brother and sister in chapter 6, was it The Prisoner? I think that's what it's called, when the first Bill Burr episode.
Oh yeah.
When they when they're going to free the Twi'lek brother, that they never showed up again, right? Because I'm pretty sure he died.
Oh yeah, they won't. Yeah,
he died. The sister never showed up again.
Died. They were all put in an Imperial prison, but yeah, the brother definitely died.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things that, oh, cool, freak of the week kind of story.
Yeah,
awesome visuals. Anyways, so the last thing in the episode, again, incredibly short episode. We don't have much to talk about in terms of like plot revelations because it did feel kind of like a recap of Boba Fett. But he goes to Kalevala, which is the home planet of Clan Kryze, as in Bo-Katan Kryze. And yeah, that we had this whole like 3-minute really awkward scene with Bo-Katan, who's played by Katie Sackhoff. She is doing the classic villain pose in her throne when he walks in. Yeah, we just get
she's
this
so
like
salty
very,
about losing the Darksaber.
Very salty, yes. She's so petty. She's like, oh, that thing, you just wave them around and they follow you wherever you go, right? What did you think about her performance in this? I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was like revelatory. I was expecting more, I think.
Yeah, I think as a character, Bo-Katan, I think Katie Sackhoff did amazing. But as a character, Bo-Katan's pissed at Din. He just walks in with the weapon. She's like, do you have it? He's like, yeah, and she just kind of rolls her eyes. Yeah, I would be the same way. I would be pissed off that the guy came in and just walked up, and I was like, yeah, I'm going back to Mandalore. It's like, I don't know, like Bo-Katan almost gave up her life uniting the clans, and that resulted in the Night of 1,000 Tears. And then this one dude just gets it, and so she's rightfully pissed off. I agree with her resentment, but also at the same time, I cannot wait. I don't know if Din already knows this, but I cannot wait until Din finds out that she was one of the leaders of Death Watch, the same clan that she looks down on now, that Din's a part of.
Well, yeah, she got disillusioned.
Yeah,
eventually with
it's an offshoot.
What was the Pre Vizsla? Is that what his name was?
Pre Vizsla. Yeah, it's still. I mean, she still. Yeah, she got disillusioned, but at the same time, she was still a part of it. She knows. She's been a part of that brainwashing. She knows, what that clan is all about. So just her to keep doing that, I think she's kind of repressing that. And she's just, I don't know, she's just angry. She's got a lot of emotions.
Have you ever seen I don't know. I don't remember what the name of the comic is, but it's there's a comedian, British guy, who was talking about how British museums, like how good they are at stealing from places. Um,
Hmm.
and he has this line about like it's like going into someone's house and looking at their mantelpiece. Or no, it's like inviting someone whom you stole from to your house, and they come and they see
Yeah.
like a family treasure on your mantelpiece, and they're like, "That's mine. Can I have it back?" And you're like, no, how dare you? It's mine. It's in my house. It's like Mando walks into her house with the Darksaber that he didn't steal it from her, but like she feels like it's hers, right?
Yeah.
And it's like he's not even
Yeah.
Mandalorian. He's from another planet. Um, he just calls himself Mandalorian
Hmm.
because he was brought up by their creed, but it's not like he's actually from Mandalore, right? And he walks in with like this treasured
Hmm.
possession of the nation of Mandalore, and he's like, "What's up?" And she's just so mad. And I can understand why.
Imagine he's walking up to the throne and it just falls out of his pocket. He like scrambles to pick it up. That'd be so funny.
Well, I mean, she can't.
Ugh.
She knows from experience it has to be won. It can't be given. Because he tried to give it to her, and he's like, "I don't want this." And she was like, "I can't do that. I've already tried that. It doesn't work like that."
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
go ahead.
Sabine did give it to Bo-Katan in Rebels, and she just kind of accepted it. So
I know
she's done it before, but
I'm
I know
she's tried that, and did it work out? No, it did not.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Their planet got destroyed, right?
It really didn't work out.
So she doesn't want to do that, right? Mando's offered it. He doesn't really care about it. He thinks it's a cool weapon, but I don't think he really understands the story behind it yet.
No,
or the weight of it, at least.
Let's go back to the Jedi Temple. We might get some backstory.
Yeah. That'd be neat. We get to what's the was it Tar Vizsla? I'm mixing up my Vizslas.
I think it is Tar Vizsla.
The Jedi who took the Darksaber, or who that was his weapon, right? He was yes.
You know,
that'd be neat to see.
Kind of just had a thought. I kind of just had a thought. What if we go back to Coruscant and Grogu goes back to the temple and we see another Order 66 flashback? There is one in the trailer.
Oh, we're definitely going to see one.
Yeah, definitely. So what if we see that as Grogu and Din are walking through the Jedi Temple, and what if we get to a place where Grogu remembers something and we see Order 66 play out? That'd be pretty cool. That'd be cool. Grogu going back to his trauma spot.
Yeah, except there's not dead bodies of younglings on the floor. It's
true.
It's brand new carpet and designer curtains that Palpatine has put in. Yeah, his vacation.
I can imagine just him walking with what's his face walking behind him, his assistant, and he's pointing to stuff. He's like, red carpet there, yeah, red carpet there, marble staircase, and he's like,
make sure you put the jacuzzi up
lightning
there
out of his fingertips
where the library was. Yeah.
Just imagine a jacuzzi in the Jedi the master room where they all
the little pods,
sit around,
like personal hot tubs.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. I can see everything from here. That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, the episode ends right there. Bo-Katan is disillusioned. She tells Din that there's nothing down there. There's nothing magical about the waters down there. The only magical thing about it is probably the poison in the water. It's a East Palestine, Ohio type beat.
Oh boy,
the water's poison makes it magical.
Did you see the Saturday Night Live skit that they did about Trump's speech?
I didn't know.
He's like, I don't know why you're complaining. Your water's the shiniest water, just a beautiful rainbow of colors. He's gonna get.
No, that's what the. Go on. If
that's
you're not dying laughing right now.
That's what Grogu's gonna say when he gets to Mandalore. He's gonna be like, "Ooh, fun, a rainbow pool." Try and jump in.
Yeah, that's the magical qualities about the water Mandalore. It'll allow you to grow a third eye or
Yeah,
a,
it's dead
20
fish everywhere.
toes.
Yeah. So yeah, so the episode ends with a not ominous at all goodbye, Din Djarin, like from
Hmm.
Bo-Katan, which I thought was a little over the top. I That's why I mentioned Katie
Yeah.
Sackhoff's performance earlier. I thought she
Hmm.
communicated what she was meant to communicate. The writing just wasn't great, and she was a victim
Hmm.
of the Hayden Christensen syndrome, where you're just given terrible lines and it's not your fault, you
Yep.
know. Um, but that like goodbye, Din Djarin, and the episode ends. I was like, what? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But he's. I mean, do you think he goes straight to Mandalore next episode? I don't. I don't think so.
Well, that's kind of. I have some questions prepared, and that was my first question. Where do you think episode 2 will take us? No, I don't think we're going to Mandalore straight away. I think they might save that till mid-season or maybe the end of the season. I hope. I hope I'm really wrong, but I think we're gonna go on that fetch quest for IG-11's chip next episode, and we'll meet a friendly cast of characters, and then
Yeah.
we'll go back to Navarro,
Yep.
get IG-11 ready, and then we might see, or we might hear that Moff Gideon escaped somehow. Moff Gideon escaped or something. Who knows?
I think
Where do
you're
you think it's
probably
gonna
right.
go?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. We're gonna have
Yeah.
some this term fetch quest. Never heard it before recently, and now I've heard it from you and from one of the reviews I read over the episode.
Oh, really?
I don't really play video games, so I guess if that's a gaming term,
Oh, yeah.
that explains
It
it.
is.
But he's definitely gonna go on some side quest thing that doesn't necessarily matter a whole lot. But has like one or two
Mhm.
things that matter. In in each of the first two seasons, episode 2 is like a side quest episode.
Yeah.
Unless I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the Frog Lady episode was the second episode of season 2.
Yeah, Frog Lady
Um,
episode of season was episode 2.
Yeah, and then first season
Season 1,
was
episode 2
was the
was...
Mudhorn episode, but
Yeah, it was.
which was a big deal. But like most of the episode, he's chasing Jawas and falling off the wagons in the desert and stuff like that.
And he's fetching a literal egg from the Mudhorn.
Yes, yeah. So it's tradition,
We'll see.
I guess. So we'll talk about Bad Batch in another episode, but I'm kind of tired of filler and in general.
Yeah.
And we've gotten out of the 10 Bad Batch episodes, not counting the most recent one. The first 10, probably 3 of them were fillers, which I understand it's animated. But in The Mandalorian, we usually have 1 or 2 a season. And I kind of was disappointed because if episode 1 was this light on plot, then episode 2 is probably going to be a filler. And that's just not... That might leave me going in episode 3 not very excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt it was kind of all over the place. There was really like we were just jumping around like crazy. And I just didn't feel a good direction of where the episode was going. So I think ending right there was very abrupt. And it just kind of had me thinking, because I don't have really any indication of where episode 2 will take us. Usually, after an episode, we're like, oh, okay, maybe next week we'll get this or this. But I have no clue what we're going to get next week. Only other than like, maybe we're finding a processor for IG-11. But that can be postponed for later. But yeah, I have no clue where this is going to go.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about getting the part. I think hopefully by the end of episode 2, it's like, okay, we got the part. We're back with the Anzellans. He's either put back together or he's not, And
yeah,
I
hope he's not.
Yes, me too. I hope it doesn't work and he's destroyed. And it was like, well, that was a natural thought for Din to go to, but it was never going to work. And now he needs to just trust all droids or something.
Yeah, it
like
shows
that.
his care for a droid. He wants them brought back to life. Or we can go down the path of the Millennium Falcon and have his consciousness like uploaded to the N1 and have it as his flight nav. But they're most likely not going to do that.
Oh yeah, like Solo. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll see. Well, I have 2 more questions. My second question is that whenever High Marshal Grief Karga, you have to add the high in there. High
Magistrate.
Whenever him High Magistrate. Dang, I can't even get it right. Dang. But whenever, him and Din are walking, he says that Navarro needs a new marshal. And, Din, he declines. Cara Dune, she's not coming back. So who do you think the marshal of Navarro will be?
Cobb Vanth.
They're
Vanth
setting
refrigeration.
It up. I agree as well. I see Cobb Vanth as the Marshal of Navarro, probably with like a cybernetic arm or something.
Yes.
But I also don't see him leaving Tatooine. He has no reason to leave Tatooine
How
yet.
many times can you be like, as long as I'm here, nothing will touch the people of Freetown.
True.
I'm the one that tells people what to do. Like, his character's a little one-dimensional,
Or maybe Boba Fett was able to expand security out to Freetown.
Yeah,
and he's not needed there anymore. When he wakes up out of his I almost said bantha coma, out of his bacta coma, everything's going to be different.
Well, we did see. So in this episode, Grief, it was very short exchange, but Grief said something about not letting the New Republic have any hand in what Navarro is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was offered protection or offered something. I'm not sure what the exchange was, but he basically refused help from the New Republic. And what that might be laying the trail for is allowing Mayfeld, Bill Burr, to come back, because he's a convict. He's presumed dead by the New Republic. But if the New Republic, as we know, is not going to be on Navarro, maybe we can see him be the marshal. He's a good shooter, right? He's smart. He's funny. He'll be around once, twice a season for a couple one-liners. That'd be an easy one.
Oh, I like that. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I like that a lot more than Cobb Vanth, actually. I think Cobb Vanth can probably stay on Tatooine. I really just don't see him leaving Tatooine. But yeah, I think Bill Burr would be a good marshal. All right. So for the final question, it's pretty open-ended. But do you think Bo is gonna fight Din for the Darksaber once she sees that Mandalore is habitable? Because it has to be. We're going back there.
Yeah, if Mandalore is uninhabitable, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yes, I expect a Bo versus Din conflict to be like the overarching theme of this season. That's what I thought at the end of season 2, and 2 years later, that's still what I think. I think that she is going to kind of build up some sort of, not army, but like supporters. I mean, these clans in Mandalore, they're very good at just finding like 10 or 12 extremists to tag along with, right? She'll find somebody, she'll fill up those halls, and she'll mount a rebellion like the Greyjoys that she knows she can't win.
She's gonna make her own Death Watch from the remnants of Death Watch to fight a remnant of Death Watch.
Yeah, that's pretty much the entire history of Mandalore, actually.
It's just a cycle, man.
It's like the Balkans in the 90s. It's just...
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Very niche.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be the central theme of this season. I think maybe we'll hear some news about Moff Gideon, but I think a lot of the energy is going to be, okay, Bo-Katan's the quote bad of this season, but she's not really a bad because we sympathize with her. And I think eventually they will fight, and I think Din will probably win. And there's really no other way around it. There's no nuance with the Darksaber.
No.
Maybe we'll have it be destroyed in the fires of Mount Doom or something. I don't know.
Ooh,
but
I doubt Bo is gonna come out of the season alive.
Oh, really?
Okay. I don't see Din uniting a Mandalorian clan without killing someone over the Darksaber.
I don't know how interested he is in doing any of that.
I don't agree. I don't think I do agree. I don't think he's interested at all, but he's going to have to do it. I think this season is going to lead him down that path of him realizing he has to lead. He's good at it. He's a natural.
Yeah, I mean, is he? I haven't seen a lot of leadership. Like, he's
He
great in
led
battle.
he led the Tuscans against the Crate Dragon pretty well.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's true. And the prisoner breakout, but he's being
That's
set
true.
up the whole time, so I'm not sure that counts. But
That's true.
yeah, I mean, I okay. So he unites Mandalore, and he has to take down Bo-Katan along the way, and he just keeps fighting off challengers as he goes. But
Yeah,
Grogu would be in trouble all the time, or in danger,
that's true.
because people would try and kidnap him to get
Yeah,
at Mando. So I don't know.
we'll
We'll
see.
see. I don't know how interested he is in running Mandalore, but
Yeah, I don't think he's interested at all. I think the best leaders are the people who don't want to lead. That's, you know,
amen.
a well-known quote. So I think it's cool that a lonesome Mandalorian in season 1 will somehow lead his entire clan, just like Tar Vizsla. I don't think he was just a Mandalorian Jedi. You know, he came from meek beginnings, but then he, became the most famous Mandalorian, leading Mandalore against the Jedi. So we might see a little mirror of that.
You know, it can't get any worse than the other guy who tried to to unite and lead a town while wearing Mandalorian armor recently. Yeah, or if he
Nope.
can't be any worse than Boba, so we'll see.
We will see. Well, that about covers chapter 17, The Apostate. We will see you possibly next week for chapter 18. I also just wanted to drop this in real quick. This podcast is now officially a year old. We started with the ending of the Book of Boba Fett, and now we're here at the beginning of season 3 of The Mandalorian. How does that make you feel, Ethan?
Well, we
It's been a
haven't been
journey.
super consistent with
No.
with episodes and everything, but we're trying to be better. We had an episode we've had 2 episodes get lost at least. We had a third one that I recorded like 20 minutes of, and that never worked. So we're learning as we go along. We'll say that. Many trials and errors.
Yeah.
But if you guys, if anyone's listening and was wondering where we've been since the new year, well, we made a New Year's episode that we thought was great that got lost in the cloud somewhere, and I'm not sure how to get it. But we're really excited to talk about the show. This is our favorite show, and to get ready for everything that lies ahead in 2023. And we'll be back soon with to cover chapter 18, but also to talk about the Bad Batch, because that is getting that show's heating up. And episode 12, which will mark 3/4 of the way through the second season of Bad Batch, that comes out the same day as chapter 18 of The Mandalorian. So we'll probably cover both of those things next week.
Yeah, we're getting there. Well, Ethan, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by and discussing Star Wars with me. It's always the highlight of my either week or 2 months.
Or
whenever we talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the Kessel Rundown podcast. If you liked the episode, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you're listening to on Spotify, just listen again. We really appreciate all the listens and everything. If you have a grandma that likes Star Wars, if you have a grandma that doesn't like Star Wars, just send it to her. She'll listen to it, hopefully.
Just play it on her phone for her without her knowledge. She won't know.
Yeah, exactly. She'll just wonder where the voices are coming from. Well, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I've been Hunter. That's been Ethan. And may the Force be with you.
See ya.